Hello and welcome to 7 Super Series. I'm Ben from the Bonehead podcast and this is the Game 2 preview. Seven Super Series is our escalation league for the best way to play Blood Bowl Sevens. Sevens is a fast play variant with a smaller pitch, smaller teams, shorter halves, but bigger gameplay. We've got 5 teams facing off against each other across 10 weeks, then we'll take the top 4 teams and through a series of knockout playoff games, determine the 7 Super Series 3 champion. This is an escalation league, so no permanent injuries, and before each game a team plays, they will receive a single skill depending on their team tier. Every week we'll have this preview video to drop to give you the lowdown on the match that's coming up this coming weekend, and that match is going to be between myself running the Karaberg Carrion, our Undead team, playing against the person who painted that team, Milton. Milton is going to be coming back on the show, and he is going to be piloting the Undercity Warpfires, our Underworld team. And in this preview video, we are going to cover the coaches, the team rosters, and of course, the viewer championship. Okay, the first team we've got here is one that a lot of people are very excited about, and it is the Undercity Warpfires. Now, this team has been lovingly put together and painted with a really cool style by multiple award-winning painter and friend of the show, Ian Warhammer. So he's gone with like this Sin City dark black with pops of green, and naturally we've added lightning and green flame effects. It's all warpstone. And it's all Underworld. Now, Underworld have rocketed into Blood Bowl 2020, and they're not much worse at sevens. There's no hack phlegm, but they do have an outrageous amount of potential. So the Undercity Warpfires, we've got a Rat Ogre, we've got a Skaven Blitzer, we've got a Skaven Thrower, best thrower in the game, we've got a Gutter Runner, and we've got 3 Goblins. That takes the roster to 7 players. Now, on top of that, they've got 1 assistant coach, which I know we've talked about at length for sevens is pretty huge. They cost 20k now, but when you roll that 7 for brilliant coaching on the kickoff table, you get a +1 to your die roll. There are going to be some times where that is a 20k reroll, which is absolutely massive for the team. But their roster has also given away, forgotten, didn't bother taking the 8th player, because they had enough money to roster a desperate measure. Now, the way the teams are built in this is it's built for tournaments, basically. Every game a team is going to get an additional skill, but the roster resets, and we're allowing them to roster 600k. So that's why we're getting desperate measures rostered to the teams. I know a few of you asked that question before. It's because it's played like exhibition rules, essentially. So they get a desperate measure. Now, I don't think Game 1 had any desperate measures, but you are going to see them across this series, and I really think you are going to love them. Some of the results are fine, some of them are fantastic. So if they roll well, the Undercity Warpfires could end up with a Wizard. They could end up with a Strength 3 Gutter Runner, a Strength 4 Blitzer, an Edge 1+ Gutter. It could end up with something really, really, really cool. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It's a really great thing about the new 7s edition. Now, like I said, every team gets a skill before their game. This is round 1, so we're looking at the first skill here, and as Undercity Warpfires is a tier 1 team, they get 1 primary to put on one of their players. Now, this is an expansion league, so every game a team will get 1 more skill, but we are allowing skill stacking. It is great fun. We did it for the last Super 7 series and it was brilliant. But it's skill 1. This team's got no rerolls, so the Skaven Thrower is getting leader, and I think you'll agree it is a pretty powerful skill when it comes to Blood Bowl 7s. They don't have that integral reroll, but actually the fact that the Skaven Thrower, being the best thrower in the game, can take leader means that this team has got a Rat Ogre, who is just an outrageous monster of a Blitzer. You've got a Skaven Blitzer who's a really good blocker and runner. You've got that Thrower who is just fantastic, and you've got those Gutter, that 1 Gutter Runner to be a brilliant scoring threat. The Goblins on this team are no slouch either. Movement 6, stunty dodge, 3+ agility. They're 3++ing everywhere. This is a slippery, fighty team. Now, they are a little bit vulnerable, except for the Rat Ogre. Apart from the Rat Ogre, everybody here is armor 8+, the Blitzers armor 9+, but the Goblins tend to explode, and the Gutter Runner being only armor 8+ with strength 2 means that there's probably a bit of a target on him as well. Anyway, these guys, with their desperate measure and their desperate Rat Ogre, are going to be facing the Undead team. So let's move away and have a look at the Undead. And our Undead team is the Carroburg Carrion. Now, this team has been beautifully painted and put together by Milton, so I get to pilot his own team against him, which is just delicious. Or, on the other hand, he's probably looking at it thinking he can't lose. Either he's going to win or his home team is going to win. Anyway, I don't care. We've got a great Undead team here. It's been beautifully painted. You can see it spinning around in the background. Beautiful highlights and, quite frankly, what I consider to be a beautiful roster here. Undead are also tier 1. We've got 2 White Blitzers, 2 Ghoul Runners, a Zombie, and 2 Skeletons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players on this team. Now, in 7 players can be a bit vulnerable. You kind of want to buy something else that pads it out, but White Blitzers have got regen, Zombies, Skeletons, regen with thick skull or armor 9+. It is a resilient team with the exception of those Ghoul Runners, but if you compare the Undead team to the Underworld team, the Ghoul Runners are the most vulnerable thing here, but they're still strength 3. Goblin strength 2, Gutter Runner strength 2, and the Ghoul Runners have got dodge, and one of them has been given a primary skill of block. So you've got 1 Blodge Ghoul, 2 Blitzers. Actually, the Ghouls, even though they're the most fragile part of this team, they've got that integral protection with the dodge skill, and that block is going to make that dude a really effective hybrid Blitzer / runner. Now, the team has also hard rolled a reroll into it, so had enough money to take a reroll in 7s at twice the price. So we've got 2 decent Blitzers. Movement 6, Edge 3+ block in their good armor regeneration, 2 brilliant Ghoul Runners in their movement 7 dodge, Edge 3+, one of them with block, the Zombie Lineman, and 2 Skeletons. Now, the Linemen, when it comes to the Undead team, they're not the best. Movement 5 for the Skeleton is as fast as it gets, and the Skeletons can be pretty fun. At movement 5, they're okay. Edge 4+ means that in a pinch, they'll do what you need them to do. The Zombie is generally garbage tier in 7s. However, it's on this roster because it's got regeneration and armor 9+. What that zombie is there to do is to feed, is to screen and to give to a ravenous big guy, which matches up beautifully against the Underworld team. Look for that zombie to be fed continuously to the Rat Ogre. Zombie, 40k. Rat Ogre, 150. If that zombie can keep that Rat Ogre tied up, then he is netting a gain of, what, 110k? It's absolutely phenomenal. On the other hand, the Rat Ogre could just tear that zombie apart and the zombie could be gone. But actually, rather the zombie than a White Blitzer, than a Ghoul, than a Blodge Ghoul, right? So actually the zombie is there to do zombie things, not the fastest, but actually should be able to play defense. Now, I'm going to be running the Carroburg Carrion. We've got block on a Ghoul Runner. We've got 4 decent moving Edge 4+ pieces, 3 block pieces. Everybody else is strength 3. I've got reroll as well, and I've got block. So each of these teams is looking at 1 reroll. I'm running Undead, and quite frankly, I'm worried about the Rat Ogre, but that's what this zombie's for. The rest of the team, as far as the Underworld teams go, is actually the Thrower's got a target on his head because he's got that leader ability, and everybody else is strength 2. So we've got the strength advantage as the Undead team. We've got block, block, block. So actually, if we can tie that Rat Ogre, keep that Rat Ogre out of the way, we can use block to try and take out some of the squishy players. Only 7 players on both of these teams. Attrition could be a really huge deciding factor. They're both beautiful teams. They're both really good all-rounder rosters. We've got a Rat Ogre on one side, and we've got just a consistent Carroburg Carrion front. I love it. Okay, so we've seen both of the rosters. We've got the Underworld team with speed from the Gutter Runner and dodge and stunty and all that kind of shenanigans versus a middle speed combat faction in the Undead team. This is going to be, it's not quite as much bash and dash as round 1 is, but it is actually in that same kind of thing. although the Rat Ogre might be a tiebreaker when it comes to the Undercity Warpfires, but then the Carroburg Carrion has got that blodge piece there to be able to just go one-on-one against strength 2 squishy targets. Attrition could go one way or another here, and quite frankly, both teams have got enough agility to be able to capitalize on any shots. Agility swings towards the Undercity Warpfires. Consistency and combat skill goes to Carroburg. It is a pretty fun matchup. Now, we've talked about the teams. Let's talk a little bit about the coaches. I am running Undead. Have I run Undead before? Yes, a load of times. Undead is a solid tier 1 team, and you know what? I'm not I know how to use dodge pieces, so actually I'm feeling quite good about running the Undead team here. Milton is running the Underworld team. Now, Milton is normally a bit of a block focused, consistent player. Okay, Milton is an orc overlord and also is in the process of mastering Undead, so him wavering there with the Roger to be a heavy hitter but also having so much edge and dodge ability is going to give him, I think, a nice taste and a different way to play. I like this, and Milton is always a really solid challenge on the team, on the show. And if you watched the podcast last week, you'll hear him talk about how he's been running Undead in 7s on the Isle of Wight League. So actually, not only can he play with them, I think he's going to be able to take some of that skill and play against it and know what the strengths and weaknesses are of this very roster that he's running on the Isle of Wight. So we've looked at the rosters, we've talked coaches, I've talked ad nauseum about the matchup. Let's have a look at the Viewer Championship. Okay, after week 1, we've got first place at 6 points, Trevor Turner, Gary Doherty, Sean Murphy, Antonio Jimenez, Mike V, Alexander Padberg, Millman, Forgot My Tea, Austin Faulkner, Mike Cotterell, David Warner, Blood Bowl Commissioner. We've got Cotter, Bap, Tom Wheatley, Stevie126, The Scientist, our Blood Bowl 7s correspondent there, Michael Ball, Dan Pritchard, Ben Davey, and Baron 1. So that is our top place leaderboard at the moment. If I'm not careful, that is just going to continue to scroll away in the background, which is fine, and we will have the full scroll at the end of the show, as we always do. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, how are there players there with 6 points? Well, we carried over the Dungeon Bowl scores, as rightly should have been so. So the winners, you get reset to 0. People with 5 points or less will roll over. So if you are just joining the series now, you're a few points behind, but there's plenty of points to be won each round. In fact, let's talk rules. So the Viewer Championship is my favorite bit about all of these series. Basically, every week we'll do this preview video. Hello. This is the preview video. This is where you guess the scores and then you guess the outcome of the games. So it's going to be a draw. It's going to be a 2-all draw, or Khorne are going to win 3-2. And if you guess the outcome correct, if you guess it is a draw or Khorne win, or in this case, if you guess Undead win because it's Ben, and Undead win, you get 3 points. And if you get a team's score correct, no matter the outcome, you'll get a bonus point as well. So in this circumstance, if you said it was going to be a 3-2 victory to Undead and it ended up being a 2-all draw, you wouldn't get any points for the outcome. You would get 1 point though for guessing one of the team's scores right, being a 2. Now, the most important thing that I failed abysmally to call out in the last video was that the voting will close at 11 AM UK time. That is because the games go live just after 11 o'clock for our Patreons on Saturday, and it goes live around about the same time on Sunday for everybody else. So Patreons and members get this game on Saturday, everybody gets it on Sunday, so the voting gets pulled at 11 AM UK time. Now, we had 2 people guess it bang on the money this time. I think it was Mike V and David Warner, Blood Bowl Commissioner, which was outrageous. So they scored the full 5 points, I think. Everybody else scored 3, maybe 4, maybe 1, maybe 2. Can you score 2? I don't think you can score 2. I think you can score 1, but I don't know. Anyway, it's awesome. I love seeing this, and like I said, watch for the full Star Wars scroll at the end of the show. Okay, so I really hope you're enjoying the league so far. I'm super psyched for the games that we've got coming up. I mean, both of these teams are brilliant, and they're so good in 7s. We've got some good coaches, and we've got some great games, and we've got some great people just voting in there. The Viewer Championship is underway. Oh, at the end of the season, the people with the highest amount of points win prizes, guys. So you will get Bonehead podcast loot, you will get Bonehead Championship and 7 Super Series loot. I don't think I have anything else to add. I'm going to go watch NFL now and wait for your votes for this series. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more bubble content. Get your guesses in below and wait for the full scroll. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.